If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Hello, House on the Road subscribers and followers. I made a video a while back where I talked about that there was a YouTuber who said that she doesn't feel it necessary to ask for permission to do things. It's sometimes better just to go ahead and do things and then ask for forgiveness if you're wrong. And boy, I tell you, I completely disagree with that. I feel like that you absolutely must ask permission, and if you don't have anybody to ask permission from, then just don't do it. 50% of the country thinks you should ask for permission, the other 50% thinks it's better to ask for forgiveness. If more and more people keep going with the philosophy that we're just going to ask for forgiveness, you know, you got 100 people coming and doing a thing, and then they say, okay, you can't do that thing. Oh, I'm sorry, and I'll leave right away. Well, they're going to get tired of telling people that you can't do that thing. So in order to stop them from having to tell you, they're just going to shut it down. Well, last night I got in a conversation with a guy on Facebook. He backed his camper up to a city park pavilion. A city park sometimes have these pavilions where they have electrical outlets inside the pavilion. Well, he plugged his camper into one of those electrical outlets to charge his battery. And I said, boy, I don't know if I agree with that. And he says, why not? There's no sign saying I can't do it. There's nobody to ask. And I said, well, you know, those outlets were made for crock pots, not campers. And he says, well, my battery charger doesn't use as much as that crock pot does. He says, I've been using the bathroom all day and there's no sign saying it's a bathroom. Well, why can't I plug my camper into this? So I went on to explain that, you know, this is a ask forgiveness, ask permission mentality. And he says, well, there's nobody to ask. And I suggested, well, then possibly you shouldn't be doing it. He says, I don't see the problem because I'm not using all that much energy. They have an outlet there. And I said, well, look, how about this? What if they shut the park down because more and more people keep doing this? He says, they're never going to shut the park down. They may lock up the outlets. So I said, okay, there's a perfect example. They lock up the outlets. They lock up the outlets because more and more people come down, plug up, and they say, okay, you can't do this. And they get tired of it, and finally they take the outlets out. And he didn't see a problem with that. Well, I said, well, here's the problem. All those people who came down to use the outlets appropriately for the crock pots when they have their family reunions and everything outlet was intended for, they won't have. So everybody in society is going to suffer because you plugged your camper in. Well, he still didn't see the point. Well, here's the point I think that we need to be making. It's intent. First of all, if you have to have a sign for everything that we do, then there's going to be signs everywhere. They're going to restrict everything. They're just going to be hanging sign after sign after sign. If you go to the beaches in California, you'll see a sign of all the things you can't do. I mean, and you're scratching your head, can I actually go on the beach? And I don't think we want to live in a society where we have to have a sign that tells us, okay, we can use this bathroom, but we can't use this picnic table, and we can do this, and we can't do this. And pretty soon, everything's going to be regulated, and we got to have a law for everything, and nobody's going to be able to do anything. That pavilion was not intended to be used as a hookup site for campers. He may have only been using a battery charger, and it may use less electricity than the crock pot. But eventually, some individual person from the community is going to come down and say, what is this going on? Everybody's hooked up to the pavilion with their campers. Looks like an RV park around here. And so they're going to shut it down. And you see it on YouTube all the time. I just mentioned that this lady on YouTube tells me that, you know, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission for her. You know, there's another YouTuber just the other day driving down a dirt road and I'm going to camp here down here. And they go in and they park, and sure enough, the tribal police kick them out. They were on tribal land. And so their theory, I mean, based on what I can understand, is, well, the tribal police told us to leave, so we're going to leave. And, you know, no harm, no foul. I asked for forgiveness. I'm sorry, didn't know. Well, if you don't know, find out before you go down there. I mean, let's just assume that you go down private property and some guy starts hooting and hollering and screaming at you, get out, get out, get out. It's private property. You're not allowed on it. Don't go on it. You're not allowed on tribal land. Don't go on it. Find out before you go that you're not allowed or you are allowed. Well, we thought it was national forest. If you thought it was national forest and yet you could drive down there. Did you have a map? Did you do your research? I talk about this all the time. But these bigger YouTubers, they're so busy driving around, just getting anywhere they can go, so they can show you some footage of a great spot. They're constantly violating the laws. You know, they let the dogs roam around, and that is just in itself absolutely aggravating me. They let their dogs roam all around, telling everybody, oh, well, you know, he's a good dog, he's old, and this and that. And well, everybody lets their dogs run around, and everybody decides that it's okay. And finally, somebody's dog bites somebody. They're going to say, okay, no dogs on the National Forest. We cannot be held responsible for this. Now, the other thing is if we have to hang a sign for everything, this means more tax dollars, more resources, more. All because we can't follow intent. The intent is don't back your RV up to a pavilion in a city park and think, oh, I'm going to run my 100-foot extension cord over to this pavilion. No, we don't need a sign for that. If you think your dog should be running around and we got to have a sign everywhere that says no dogs off leash, no dogs off leash, we're constantly spending money on those signs. Up there in South Dakota, they had signs everywhere. No campfires. Well, it said it right on their webpage. All you had to do is read it. Yet, nobody even wants to read the signs. That's the thing. You hang a sign, they don't read the signs because sure enough, they started a campfire right next, I bet 50 feet from a sign that says no campfires. I would suggest that before we get everything closed down because of our entitlements, that we actually look at the intent of the object. You know, they used to say when I was a kid, possession is 9/10 of the law. Meaning, if you have it in your hand and you shouldn't have it in your hand, doesn't matter. Who gave it to you, why you have it, it's yours. You possess it now. Well, the same thing. If you're going to go out there and you're going to park on someplace and pretend that you don't know what the law is or who owns it, you're still in possession of that and you are in violation. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.